Joining us today, Craig Fairbrass. Craig, it's an absolute pleasure to be speaking to you. We've watched many of your movies growing up. I remember when Phil Mitchell set you up in EastEnders, and I was raging because I like a good bad guy, and I was quite invested in your character. And then since Phil got you sent away, it's kind of I stopped watching EastEnders.
Trust me. 30 movies later, I've been stuck there. I was sure.
Some folk go back to Albert Square as a nice wee. I think it'd be good to see Dan the Man back. And to be fair, I probably don't actually know anything about what's going on in EastEnders, not since they took you away. But not tomorrow, but the next.
Saying that, in their defence, I had a lovely time there. Met some lovely people, and it was an experience like any acting job you do. You know, they all serve a purpose. They're all stepping stones.
We'll chat a small part about some of the greatest roles you've done. I know we're all fans of different stuff that you've done throughout your career, but we're going to talk a little bit about here A Violent Man, which looks brilliant. We've seen the trailer. It comes out in 2 days, so that comes out on February the 4th. I know that tomorrow as well you will be in East London doing a screening of A Violent Man, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it's a preview screening and a Q&A at the Genesis Cinema in Marland. Yeah. Where I was born, funny enough.
Wow.
Yeah. Is there still tickets for that, or is that completely wiped out now?
No, there's a few left, funny enough. Yeah, because I had to give some comps back. So, yeah, there's a few more left.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Get on it, people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely something we'd be up for if we were closer.
Where are you based?
We're between Glasgow and Edinburgh. Between us all, yeah, so it's quite a bit. I mean,
helicopter.
Yeah,
if you've got a spare one, man.
I think those were props. Nah, I'm like, you can tell that your character's been in jail for 20 years, and he sees a little bit of something in himself in this other character. So is it like your character is almost kind of trying to protect this other character from going down the same kind of road?
Yeah. Basically, he murdered his wife, murdered her lover. He's been institutionalized from a very young age in and out of prison. But he's killed 2 other people in Nick. So this is his life, the monotonous everyday existence of prison life. And he's unrepenting. He's primal. He's just, you know, every day is torture. He's a tortured soul.
Yeah.
And it's dealing with a system. And then right out of the blue, he gets a new cellmate, a young kid, young black fella who's a gang member. And over time, their relationship grows, and you can see that Steve recognizes a lot of attributes in him that he had when he was young, growing up, and he feels for him. And their relationship grows, and he steps in to help him out with some trouble. And then they're both together against the system, you know. It's a very, very deep, dark, tragic tale.
Yeah, it doesn't look like. I mean, you mentioned just before we pressed record that you've started doing films with more of a kind of dramatic flair to them, as well as the punching people up in the air side of it. This obviously, it looks like it's going along the same lines. I know from the title itself and from what we know about it, we know it is still violent. But does it have, I mean, is it a kind of 50-50 split between the drama and violence, or does violence still
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, what you've got is a very, very brutal, violent film, but accompanying that, you've got a really good story and some really good actors telling a really good story. It's not just, we've all seen a million prison films, you know, some good, some bad. This is a very, very dark, brutal tale. And it's punctuated by some really good actors. It really is. It's a gripping story. The reactions we've had and the reviews, are breathtaking. literally. I mean, they're coming out hourly. It's just,
Yeah.
I'm over the moon with it. I mean, I couldn't wish for it to be received better than it has been, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. And this was directed and written by Ross McCall.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you find working with a director who is primarily an actor, do you find it feels different to just working with somebody who solely directs and produces? Do they have a different flair to it?
Yeah, I mean, Villain, which I did. These are the same producers. This film is made by the same people who made Villain.
Yeah, brilliant movie.
Phil Barantini is an actor.
Mm-hmm.
So you tend to, they sort of know what you're going through because they're actors themselves, and you know you're either in tune or you're not. Luckily, I worked really well with Phil. We got on beautifully, and I was a massive fan of Ross's. I love Band of Brothers. I think he's a great actor. And when they gave me the script and said, "Listen, this is written by Ross," I thought, "Oh, it's going to be a." But he'd done such a beautiful job. It's such an artistic piece. It's got so much weight to it and so much. It's just interesting, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good script. I read it. I just found it a little bit too violent. I've got to be honest with you, because the violence in this is it's not comic violence. It's very quick and brutal, like real violence happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, knives and stuff and shanks and things and tools in prison. But I gravitate. One of the things that made me want to do this film is the fact that Bart Ruspoli, who's got great taste in films, had just made Boiling Point with Stephen Graham. They'd shot that film all in one take. And he said to me, "Listen, I've got this script, read it, tell me what you think." I read it. I said, "Listen, it's really violent. It is incredible." He said, "But I want to do it all in one room." And I was like, really? I said, I don't know how you can do that. He said, "We're going to build it so we can take the ceiling out, the walls out, the floor out, this out, this out." While that was happening, Stefan Kupek, one of the top DOPs in the business, came on board. We did in excess of 135 different setups. That camera never leaves that room.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd never know it watching it because it's done so well. Not one shot is repeated.
Yeah.
So you're constantly looking at something different, and there's an energy to it.
It certainly has a very kind of unique style from what we can see in the trailer.
Yeah.
A lot of clever use of lighting and stuff like that. It's not just a standard. Here's your movie. It looks like there's a lot of time and effort going into the look of
Ross
it.
had a very clear vision of the film he wanted to make, and he would not. He wouldn't relent. You know, it was like, this is what we're doing. And I like that. You know what I mean? That he was the man guiding us all. But, you know, some incredible actors as well: Jason Flemyng, Stephen Adubola, Zoe Tapper, Ulrich Thompson, Morgan Watkins. You know, when you see the film, you'll see the quality of actors in it. Just incredible.
Yeah,
and it's so good to work when you're working with great people. It's
because of the kind of small set that you were working in. Did that add to the tension? Like, did you have to do anything special to prepare for that? Because
no, it was absolutely draining. It was. It was because it was in lockdown as well. It was brutal. You know, going to the set every day, lots of people, lots of cameras, cables, lights, and very claustrophobic, very packed. Masks on when we weren't filming. When we was filming, they would come off and then we would shoot. But it was a very, very difficult shoot. I've got to be honest with you. But we got through it, and I think it helped with the energy of everybody's demeanour, the way they were. It was, you actually felt like it was a Nick.
yeah. I mean, that's. I mean, it was filmed in the height of the pandemic. I mean, it was summer 2020, from what I read. I mean, what kind of challenges did that present, other than the masks coming on and off? And
it was just difficult because obviously we all had to be tested every other day. Our doctors coming to my house to test me regularly. I drove myself to the set because, you know, drivers and bits and pieces, social distancing, lunch times, trying to be as on top of it as we possibly can. But, you know, it was difficult. It was difficult. But as I said, I think it actually worked in our favour because everybody was on it. You know, everybody adhered to the rules, and here we are.
With regards to your character, did you feel that, like, have you ever gone and had, like, for example, your character's in jail and he's been there for 20 years. Do you just read the script yourself and go, right, I'm going to get into this character and create something purely from the pages? Or have you ever found yourself going to meet with someone that's been through that kind of life? Because a lot of the characters you've played are very hard men and people that have dealt with a lot of stuff. So if there's anything that doesn't like kind of happen in your own life, I know actors are really good at becoming the character, but is there a specific thing you had to do to get into the character for the new movie? No,
it's all on the page. It's all in the writing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and that's down to me whether I can make it real or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I look at things. That's how I try to do things. I don't want to copy anybody or try and imitate them. You know what I mean? Because then it becomes fucking jokey.
Mm-hmm.
So I just try to absorb the material and then make it as real and as natural as I possibly can, and try not to overact. Do you know what I mean? That's the challenge. You know,
your performances are always real.
Yeah. I like to just chuck everything away and just be, you know, like we're sitting here chatting now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's hard to do, trust me.
I can imagine.
Now, when you watch like kind of British prison movies, they always seem that bit more edgy and real. So when you watch the ones from America, and it's always glamorized and over the top, he's in charge. Your British films always put you off wanting to go to prison. You would never
I know what you're saying.
They always have that sense of realism.
Which,
Did you
I mean, The Violent Man it's a depressing film. It made me feel quite anxious when I was watching it. Even though I was in it, you know, it just made me feel. It made me, you know, I remember when I was doing it, I was thinking, can you imagine having to be in prison for that amount of time? You know, knowing that you've got nothing to look forward to.
Yeah.
You know, day after day after day. You know, the nice thing about someone picked up it as well, you know, Mackelson's he's educated himself in prison. He's a reader. If he's not, he doesn't really waste much time. You know, he's done what he can to, and from family members who have done a little bit of whatever, you know, at Her Majesty's pleasure, they always try to turn a negative to a positive. You know, with the reading, the learning of something, trying to somehow come out of that situation with something positive, as opposed to just playing cards all day. You know.
When you've got nothing but time, why waste it?
No, exactly. But you get a sense of that film of. I mean, I just thought it must be horrible. You know?
When you look at the trailer, the actual kind of prison cell, there's nothing in it. It's just such a blank space. So I don't know if that kind of adds to the kind of the sense of the film, where you're saying it's a kind of mean, kind of sad film essentially. But the set kind of backs that up.
Yeah. No, the fellas that we had who came in to play all our I don't want to say bad guys. The fellas who were confronting us in the prison world that we was up against, they're just such good actors. I mean, all of them brought something to that. They're all so real and horrible.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a sense of, you know, that horrible. It's just everything about it, the atmosphere. Draining experience.
It sounds almost indescribable.
Yeah, it is, because at the beginning of the film, I mean, I had to sort of attack this more like a play because I've got so much dialogue. Once it moves in, it starts off with me not really saying too much, and then we've got these big 10-page scenes because a lot of it is, you know, it's dialogue. But but beautiful dialogue. I
Yeah.
mean, beautifully written and interesting and colourful, and it's a good piece. Trust me, it's a quality piece.
Mm-hmm. We've been binging quite a lot of your previous movies, Villain being one of them. And one of the things about Villain as well, and many of your other movies, is when you're in a scene with someone, you know how sometimes in a movie like a violent movie, you're waiting for a lot of people to get glassed and you want to see that action. But what I find great is you're really good at keeping a conversation and keeping everybody's attention, watching what's going on the screen, and you find yourself really invested. Villain we'd recently just watched Villain. I can't believe I hadn't seen it before, and that's probably the first time where I've watched with something with you in it, where we know that your character's been in jail for 10 years, but we're all on your side and rooting for you, because you can see that your character has got to that point where it's like, I've done the crime and I've done all this and I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
But you can't. And sometimes that's the real reality of crime. Sometimes it's not always your fault as to why you're in the position you're in. And
Very,
your
very
character
true.
Villain accepted that.
Yeah, very, very true. And Steve picks up on that with young Marcus. You know, he says, you know, sometimes, you know, you're a product of society. You know what I mean? You don't really. Sometimes some people don't really get that bigger chance to change. And but the last three characters have been very lucky. You know, with Muscle, with Terry, even though he was a psychopathic lunatic, there was something endearing about him deep down. You know what I mean? There was a vulnerability that you sort of slightly not warm to, but more so with Eddie Franks in Villain, and now more so even with Steve Mackelson, even though he's a killer. There's something in there that you sort of, I don't know. There's a likability.
Yeah.
You know, they're not one-dimensional characters. You know what I mean? There's a lot more going on.
I feel like when I was watching it, I felt like if you were my friend and we were having a beer, things would be great and we would have a great time. But if I'm your enemy, I'm probably going to get a part of my face bitten off. You know what I mean? And that's it's as long as you don't cause your characters any issues, then you know that you would get on good with that character and you probably have a great time. And everybody seemed to, like the daughter, for example, your daughter in the movie.
What, Villain?
As much as she was very much
Hoyle, fantastic actress.
You could tell that she was hurt and wanted to kind of keep the relationship at bay, but you could also see that she was yearning to be with her dad, and he was wanting to do the same. And you aren't in a lot of scenes together, but you've managed to really pull at that. And anybody that's a father watching would definitely feel that and see that scene where you had to say goodbye. Sarian.
You know, Netflix. Villain was number 1 on Netflix.
It was
9 days, and number 2 in overall content for the same time. And I've literally, and I'm not exaggerating, thousands and thousands and thousands of messages of people discovering that film and saying what you just said. Because that scene at the end when I leave her in the cafe works. Sometimes them scenes don't, you know, and it's a killer. But when they do work, they're stunning. And the amount of people who've messaged me and said, "My God, that scene at the end," which is great to hear. Do you know what I mean? I love hearing it that it's affected people or moved them in a way that they've gone, "Oh, that's not your usual gangster type film. There's a little bit more going on there."
I really, really hope that the roles like that just keep coming to you, man, because you're smashing them right out of the fucking park. Villain is obviously on Netflix, and A Violent Man, that's released on Friday. Is that in cinemas and streaming?
I mean, they all get their little date release now, and same time, I suppose it'll be on Sky, Netflix, Amazon, iTunes, the usual streaming services. But check it out if you get a moment.
Absolutely will.
Absolutely. I can't wait. I really can't.
We got a question here sent in from one of our audience members, a close friend, who was dying to ask you this question about one of your movies. I'll just play the clip right now.
Hi there, Craig. My name's Todd. I'm one of Kevin's friends. I just wanted to ask you a quick question about what it was like to be in one of the greatest movies of all time, that being 2013's Bula Quo. Thank you.
Bula Quo, I did that film for one fucking reason. That was going to for 6 weeks.
He is,
pound note.
he is a
No,
massive
you know
fan.
what? All joking aside, I knew the guy making it. He said, "I want you to play the manager." I said, "Well, where are you filming it?" We're filming it in Fiji. I'll fly you out first class, put you up in Mel Gibson's hotel. I want, in his 2 rooms that he's got at the hotel down on the beach. I went, "I'm in." But it was one of them jobs that I had such a lovely time on it, and I became really good friends with Rick Parfitt. Sadly, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
He was such a lovely man, and we became really good mates. And so I was gutted when he died, but
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. It's one of them jobs where you sit there and you watch the sun go down. You're on the other side of the world, and you go, "I love this game. I love this game, and I'm getting paid for it."
Getting paid, Sunset and Status Quo. I mean, is that not just a dream job, right? It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, Craig. We can't actually wait to watch A Violent Man. It would have been cool if we could have got sent it. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No,
we're
I
quite
was joking. I was joking when I said to you, but
Um,
usually, obviously, they send you you should have got a little. I'm surprised they never sent you a little downloadable so you could have seen it, but it doesn't matter.
I suppose with nowadays, it's probably hard for them to trust people. You
No,
know,
of
I think
course.
you've got to build that
Because he looks
relationship.
like he would nick it. I'm sorry.
Who him? J Mac.
Excuse me, I bought and paid for this today. I've been watching them all on Amazon Prime, and I'm like, I'm fed up and not being able to hold these movies in my hands. So it was purchased today.
Oh,
you might see a
collection pack.
This is. I didn't know it had a box set, but beautiful cover art. So
that box set comes out every Christmas.
Never seen it before. But yeah, HMV $15.99. Get it now.
Yeah,
very much worth it.
Listen, chaps, lovely meeting you. Really good. It's nice to meet a group of people. It's like a party.
Well, you can come to this party anytime, Craig. We go live every Friday, so if you're ever up for a chat, we're always here, mate. And it's been an absolute pleasure.
I'll keep you posted anything new that's coming out. You never know.
Absolutely, yeah.
And please do
send
us a computer games.
Yeah.
Call of Duty. There we go.
Yeah.
So thanks very much for your time, Craig, and we might see you again.
Absolutely.
You
Thanks
know.
again.
Thanks,
Craig.
Jack.
Thanks again, mate. Bye-bye.
Cheers, mate.